Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the most secretive and fascinating developments in modern warfare. Something most people don't even know is happening right now beneath the waves and across the digital seas. The world's navies are quietly preparing for a never kind of war that may never be seen, never be declared, but could change everything we know about power, control, and survival. This is the story of ghost fleets, navies preparing for a war no one sees coming. The oceans have always been the stage for some of humanity's greatest conflicts. From World War II's battleships to Cold War submarines, the seas have been both highways of trade and theaters of war. But as technology has evolved, the nature of naval power is changing. The ships of tomorrow may not need crews. They may not fire traditional weapons. They may not even be visible. Around the world, navies are building fleets that are not only automated but also ghostly, stealthy, invisible, and capable of fighting wars that unfold entirely in the shadows. It starts with a quiet revolution. Drones have taken over the skies, but now they're taking over the seas. The United States Navy, China's People's Liberation Army Navy, Russia's maritime forces, and several European powers are racing to develop unmanned vessels, surface and underwater, that can operate without human oversight for months. These ghost ships can patrol vast stretches of ocean, carry sensors, launch torpedoes, or even hack enemy systems, all while remaining undetected. Imagine an ocean filled with silent sentinels, ships that look empty on radar, but are actually full of artificial intelligence. Submarines that no longer rely on human instinct, but on algorithms that calculate risk faster than any commander. That's the vision shaping modern naval warfare. These ghost fleets can launch attacks before the enemy even realizes they're being targeted. They can disrupt communication lines, disable satellites, and cripple ports, all without a single sailor setting foot in harm's way. But ghost fleets are not only about drones. They are about the fusion of cyber warfare and naval strategy. A ghost fleet doesn't have to fire a single missile to win a war. It can shut down power grids, jam navigation systems, and feed false data into enemy sensors. Think of it as hacking the ocean, where lines of code become weapons, and the battlefield stretches from the deep sea to outer space. The United States has been leading experiments in this field for years. The Sea Hunter, an autonomous surface vessel, was one of the first fully autonomous warships. It can operate for thousands of miles without a crew, hunting submarines or mapping the ocean floor. The idea is to deploy entire fleets of these vessels, cheap, numerous, and expendable, to overwhelm the enemy's ability to respond. China, meanwhile, has developed its own version, investing heavily in swarming tactics, where multiple autonomous ships communicate and move like a digital hive mind. These developments are changing the logic of naval warfare. Traditionally, the sea was dominated by aircraft carriers, massive floating air bases that projected power across the globe. But in the age of ghost fleets, those carriers are becoming giant targets. An invisible drone swarm could easily track, harass, or even sink billion-dollar ships without direct confrontation. The balance of power at sea may soon shift from who has the biggest ship to who has the smartest one. In the shadows of this transformation lies another layer: artificial intelligence. Every ghost ship is essentially a brain on the water. AI allows these vessels to navigate complex environments, make tactical decisions, and even engage in electronic deception. Some AI systems are trained to recognize enemy patterns, adapt in real time, and respond faster than human reflexes. This means that future sea battles might be decided in seconds, not hours, and by algorithms, not admirals. But with this power comes a terrifying risk. What happens when autonomous ships make mistakes? What if a machine misinterprets a radar signal as an attack and retaliates on its own? A single miscalculation in international waters could escalate into global conflict. The fog of war is now becoming the code of war, and it's just as dangerous. Russia has been experimenting with underwater drones like the Poseidon, a nuclear-powered autonomous torpedo capable of carrying nuclear warheads. This weapon, if launched, could trigger a tsunami capable of devastating coastal cities. Unlike traditional deterrence, where missiles are visible and traceable, ghost weapons like these can hide for months, waiting for a signal. That means a country could be under threat without even knowing where the weapon is. Meanwhile, smaller nations are joining the race too. The United Kingdom, Japan, and Australia have invested in AI-driven surveillance submarines. Iran and North Korea are rumored to be developing low-cost underwater drones to challenge larger navies. The result is an arms race not measured in tonnage or firepower, but in algorithms and autonomy. The next world war, if it ever comes, could begin not with a visible strike, but with a digital whisper in the deep. The ghost fleet concept also redefines defense. Instead of relying on large, expensive ships that take years to build, countries can now deploy hundreds of smaller, automated vessels in weeks. These systems can guard coastlines, detect submarines, escort supply ships, or even act as decoys. The goal is to make the ocean uninhabitable for the enemy while remaining hidden yourself. In many ways, this shift reflects how warfare itself is changing. Just as soldiers are replaced by drones and pilots by AI jets, sailors may soon be replaced by autonomous ships. War is becoming less about bravery and more about bandwidth. Whoever controls the flow of data, the signals, the satellites, the codes, will control the seas. And because these systems depend on networks, cyber defense becomes as critical as naval defense. This invisible warfare has already begun. Several mysterious incidents over the past few years have hinted at ghost fleet operations. Oil tankers losing GPS navigation, naval radars showing phantom ships, communication blackouts across the South China Sea, all signs of electronic interference. None of these events are officially confirmed as acts of war, but insiders believe they are the first tests of ghost fleet capabilities. The world's oceans are becoming a silent battlefield. Behind all this, there's another dimension: secrecy. Ghost fleets operate under a veil of classified programs. Many of these vessels are built in restricted shipyards, controlled by private contractors, and tested in isolated waters. Even naval officers often don't know the full capabilities of their own fleets. This secrecy makes accountability nearly impossible. If an autonomous ship commits an act of aggression, who is responsible? The country, the programmer, or the machine itself? The concept of invisible deterrence is also emerging. During the Cold War, nuclear submarines maintained peace through the fear of mutual destruction. Now, ghost fleets may play the same role, unseen, undetectable, and constantly watching. Their presence alone might be enough to prevent war. But it also means that any conflict could turn catastrophic if these systems are triggered accidentally or hacked by an adversary. Hacking is perhaps the greatest threat to ghost fleets. If an enemy can take control of an autonomous ship, they can turn it against its own navy. That's why nations are investing billions in cybersecurity, developing encrypted communication channels, quantum networks, and AI-driven defense systems. The fight for control over ghost fleets is as much about software as it is about hardware. There's also an economic side to all this. Building traditional fleets costs trillions, but maintaining them is even more expensive. Ghost fleets, powered by renewable energy or AI optimization, could drastically cut costs. They can patrol for months without food, fuel, or crew rotation. For struggling economies, that's a game changer. But it also lowers the threshold for war. making it easier and cheaper to deploy lethal force without risking lives. Ethically, this raises disturbing questions. If wars can be fought without human casualties on one side, what stops nations from fighting them more often? The emotional and political barriers to conflict weaken when machines do the killing. The ghost fleet revolution could make war more efficient, and therefore more tempting. The idea of invisible fleets isn't entirely new. During the Cold War, both the US and Soviet Union experimented with stealth submarines and remote-controlled vessels. But back then, the technology wasn't advanced enough. Today, with AI, machine learning, and satellite networks, those old dreams are becoming reality. What was once science fiction is now sailing quietly in classified waters. The world's major powers know that the next great conflict will likely not be fought in open daylight. It will be a war of signals, sensors, and shadows. Every naval base, satellite, uplink, and undersea cable could become a target. The winner will not be the one with the biggest guns, but the one who controls the invisible domain, the ghost networks beneath the surface. In the end, ghost fleets represent more than just new weapons. They symbolize the transformation of human warfare into something post-human. Machines that patrol, decide, and strike without emotion. A world where nations no longer fight openly, but through proxies of code and steel. It's a chilling vision, one that could either prevent war through deterrence or ignite it through misunderstanding. For now, the oceans seem peaceful, ships sail, trade continues, and the horizon looks calm. But beneath that calm, an invisible war is already being prepared. Ghost fleets wait in silence, powered by data, guided by algorithms, and ready for orders that may never come. They are the future of conflict, silent, unseen, and unstoppable. So the next time you look at the sea, remember, you might be staring at the battlefield of tomorrow, a place where wars are fought without witnesses, where fleets have no crews, and where victory depends not on courage, but on code. Ghost fleets are coming, and they will change the world long before we ever see them.